What's up? Yeah, I'm out taking pictures with my new point and shoot. Yeah, I just got it. Yeah, it's 2023, I know, but it's a point and shoot. It's retro, man. We're going old school. I know. All right, I gotta go. All right, you take care. 2023 GR3, is it worth it? Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm in my little hole, but I wanted to get this out because here's my thoughts right now on the GR3 Street Edition that's about 3 years old that I picked up. If you know about this camera, there's a ton of reviews out there online on this camera. It's been out for 3 years. There's a lot of folks that really love this camera, that follow it and do a whole bunch of stuff with it. There are a lot of ambassadors out there. They have a lot of videos on YouTube about this camera, praising it. It does have good praise, it does have some issues, but this video is about why I bought it and then why I'm returning it. But it could be just because of my situation. But let's see if you fall into the same situation or something like that. Ready? Go. Alright, if you're new here, Scott from Scott's Reviews. Thanks for coming around. Please take a second, like, subscribe, all that stuff down below. It does, everyone says it, but it does mean a lot, and it does help the channel grow, because if you don't grow, then you're not going anywhere. Let's get into the GR3, and more importantly about why I picked it up. Coming from as a Sony user, going back to a different camera, which I haven't jumped ship in a while. The ergonomics, the focusing, all that stuff, and the reason why I picked it up. Let's get into that. So I'm going on the cruise at the end of this month, back to Disney. Comment down below if you want me to talk about Disney cruise stuff. I can do that too. Let's stay on track here, right? And get off tangent. So my main concept going on the cruise is I wanted to limit the gear, because I would bring so much stuff, like I'm going on a paid adventure here, that it got a little bit too much. I could fit it all in a backpack, but it was just so heavy and so much stuff in there that I was just like, ugh. So obviously, let's lose the biggest thing, which is the full frame Sony a7 IV camera and the lenses I bring. So if I got rid of that, I could bring some other things and then focus more on maybe just having more fun, getting a couple of videos here and there, some photos, using other cameras to do the job that I would normally have the a7 IV do. So that was the plan. So I have the ZV-E10, which I'm filming on right now with the 11mm lens, which I do love this combination. And this is going to be my main good quality video camera. I'm going to bring the gimbal, my Crane M2S gimbal for this. So when I get on board the boat, I have the camera set up on the gimbal as I get on the cruise boat. And that's kind of a big shot when you first get on the cruise boat. I can have my one hand be free for documentation, all that kind of stuff, and the other hand be just holding the camera as I walk through. But I'm like, what if I want to get pictures along the way? I could use my iPhone, I could use a couple of different cameras that I have, but I wanted some good quality photos. So I've noticed also when I'm on the cruise, going out to dinner and stuff like that, I want to bring my camera, but it's always like this big thing to put on the table or put underneath my seat. I don't mind it too much, but I would like just to have something smaller like this to throw in the pocket, get good pictures, and be done. Also, if I keep this ZV-E10 on the gimbal, it's really hard to get pictures, right? So I'm not going to stop the video, hold the gimbal, and then take photos of that. I'm not going to do that. Now later on, when I just take this camera out by itself, obviously, yeah, pictures, video, whatever you want to do. But when it's on the gimbal, it's too much of a pain to get photos while it's on the gimbal. And I kind of want higher quality photos around the boat than just my iPhone, or my wife and the kids take pictures with their iPhones, that kind of thing. Well, like they sell pictures on the boat, right? They have their professional photographers that take photos with the characters and stuff. I want those kind of pictures, so I can use those instead of my wife purchasing the expensive photographs they sell on the ship. I could take my own and like, what about mine? Now, I've done that before, and she still wants to buy a couple of photos from them because it's all of us together, or it's got the little logo on the side of the cruise we're on, that kind of thing. So whatever. But I do take a ton of photos on there, and they're always surprised about how good they are. So I'm happy with that. But so if I lose the bigger full frame camera, am I going to still have those kind of photos? So why the GR3? Why did I find this camera, and why did I buy it? It's a little journey, right? So right now, the hottest camera out there when it comes to like street photography is the Fuji 100V. It hit the TikTok world, that kind of thing, and it blew up. So much so that it's out of stock everywhere, and Fuji doesn't know when they're going to start producing more of them. And the ones that are for sale are just outrageously high for what it is. And I don't ever like to buy into a trend and buy something for more money than what it's really first originally came out with. That's not my jam at all. I like to get deals, I like to buy used, but everyone's different, so more power to you. So after I looked into the Fuji, then I started looking at the Leica world, the Leica Q2, and wow, that's a jump. That's a jump in price. A 5,000 plus point and shoot camera. Of course I want it, right? Everybody wants something like that. That's like having the Rolex, the highest quality thing you could have. But people were doing reviews on the Leica Q2 versus Fuji, and then versus this camera. So if this camera can anywhere keep up with a Leica, I mean, come on. For the price that this cost, I purchased this one from B&H for $802 used. And with their credit card, I didn't pay any taxes on it, so it's $802 delivered. Which is normally what, $1,000 something bucks MSRP. This is the Street Edition. I took off the orange ring. I didn't like it. It's in the bag. So this is an APS-C sensor in a very compact little body here. It's the same sensor as my ZV-E10 there. I can get this point and shoot. I can hold the gimbal. I can still get photographs along as I am holding the gimbal. If I do both at the same time, if I do that once or twice, whatever. And then I could take this to dinner. I could take this anywhere along the boat, put it in a pocket, always have it with me, get shots, and not actually have to think about when I leave the room, do I take the big camera, or am I not getting pictures right now? Or just use my iPhone. Now I could option to this the entire time and say, I'll just use this camera to get good shots all around the boat. All right, Pro. Obviously the size is incredible. It's back to the point and shoot days I used to have. In your pocket, you forget about it, it's even there. Pull it out when you need it. That is the huge benefit for this camera, and it still is a benefit for this camera. No doubt will always be the size and the quality. Again, the quality, it comes to the raw images on here. Once you get the focus right, they're very, very good quality focus. Is it better than the full frame? No. And it shouldn't be, right? It's a smaller sensor, but it's good quality photos. The JPEGs have a lot of different presets you can play around with, so you can get all into different type of looks of monochrome, positive film to negative film. You can adjust those on people's different tastes and everything. So I did JPEG plus RAW. But every time I went back to the photo, I liked the JPEG, but the RAW was there, and I liked the RAW image, and then I tweaked it myself within Lightroom every single time. So I never used their own presets. Even the ones I got off the internet that people had that raved about, I didn't use them. I used my own and was happier with my own, which is, I guess, a pro for the camera, right? They had great raw images on here. You don't have to use the JPEG stuff at all. Another pro on here is the snap focus. It's a learning curve, definitely, because it's different, but you can kind of set your distance of where you think you're going to be taking most of your pictures, at 5 meters away, at 2 meters away, or whatever it is, and then you don't have to worry about focus anymore. You just basically point the camera, hit the button, and go. And that is very great for street photography, and it may be great for just casual shots, walking around the boat, getting your family in moments where a picture is not really being taken. So the natural looks of doing whatever versus, hey guys, get together for a photo, smile, take a picture. And then that's where this, well, I'm not getting to the cons yet, but that's kind of where this camera kind of fails a little bit more than others, is the actual get together for a picture. The other pro is the touch shutter button. I use this a lot, where you basically touch the back of the screen to get a photo. So basically wherever you touch, it will focus and then take the shot. So you can hold the camera something like this and just walk around and click, 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 and kind of get shots that way. Another pro is the file transfer from image sync to your phone from the camera. So I've used GoPros, I've used all these other cameras where you try to download the photo from their camera to the phone to post it up, whatever, and it's painstakingly slow to connect and then slow to download. I found that once I got this thing connected, it took me a while to get it connected through Bluetooth and Wi-Fi the first time, but once it's done that, it connects just fine, and the image quality, I mean the image transfer is pretty fast. So transferring a 24 megabyte or image takes around, I don't know, 10 seconds maybe. Now if you're doing a whole bunch of them, it'll take a while, of course, but that one particular 1 or 2 images you want to get real fast to your phone, it does work fine, and that was nice. So those are my pros for this camera. Now my cons. Autofocus. A lot of folks talk about the autofocus with this camera. It does hunt. And I am a little bit spoiled. I'm coming from the Sony world. I'm coming from the RX100 series to the ZV-1 series to all of the A6000s, A6500, A6400 to full frame. So Sony autofocus has spoiled me rotten when it comes to a camera like this, where I'm sitting there trying to focus on something. Hey family, get together. The box is there. I mean, the lighting is decent, but it's not bright sunshine, and it's pulsing, and it's trying to find, and I'm like, oh, just take the picture, right? Tapping the screen. You still has to hunt though. Even though I tap where I want the photo to take, if it's having trouble getting the focus, it's gonna hunt, and then take a picture, whether it's in or out. Long story short, I've had more misses than I normally have with any other camera on this camera. And maybe that's just the way it goes with this camera. When you do snap focus, sometimes you'll get it right, sometimes you won't. It's just kind of like fishing. Sometimes you catch the fish, sometimes you miss it. All right, next. It feels dated. It's like going back to a flip phone. Once you have the iPhone, you go back to a flip phone, you can feel like, what am I doing? I thought I was moving past this point in my life. It does feel, the retro thing, I don't know, that's not me really, it just feels dated. Being a point and shoot just feels like I'm going back to the old days of having a point and shoot camera, but that's just a feel I get when I grab this thing. It's kind of like, whatever. It is 3 years old, so in a technology world where we are today, this is an outdated piece of technology after 3+ years old, because you know that as soon as my return date runs out, they're going to announce the next one shortly, or something else is coming out next that you can be like, I should have waited. Sony's got some full frame ZV coming out soon, so I'm interested in that at the end of the month. But something like that would come out, and I'd be like, I should have waited. Was it worth it just for photos? And that's the other thing. This is not a video. It's got video capabilities, but it's not any good for video. And most folk, when you watch their reviews, they just turn off the function completely. Don't even bother with it. They pretend it's not even on here at all, which is crazy. It's got video, but nobody uses it. And I tried it, and I understand why no one uses it, because it's horrible. If I'm walking around with this camera, I know it's a one-trick pony, and it's basically going to get photos. If something's going on I want to get a video of, I'm pretty out of luck unless I have a different camera on me. I could try to use it, but it's going to be like, I don't know, bad. Another con, I guess, would be the price for a point and shoot. MSRP at $1,000, something around there. Get it used here and there, you can find it. It's still expensive. That's a lot just for photos, when your iPhone can do a lot more stuff and almost cost the same amount. The other con is I don't like is no flip screen. So I'm used to, even my Sony RX0 right here, Mark II, has this. Now for this camera, you're not going to do too many selfies, but you could, so you want to turn it around. But this flip down thing is really nice. For a camera like this, where you get different angled shots, it would be nice to have a flip up screen. Because I tend to angle the camera down and I really can't see the back of the screen, so I just kind of do this to get a photo, and hopefully I get it right. So that's what I do. So a flip screen would be nice to have if they do the next version, but right now I consider it a con. All right, let's talk about the image quality compared to the ZV-E10, and just real quick compared to the Sony. So I'll show you some pictures here of me comparing the two in Lightroom, but let me just give you the long story short of it. The ZV-E10 and this camera pretty much have the same size sensor, and I'm seeing the same results when it comes to the image quality. When I pixel peep into over 1000% and I'm getting down to the grainy details, I'm seeing almost exactly the same thing. But what I do see the difference of is this 2.8 lens is sharper than this kit lens that comes with the ZV-E10, which makes sense. This is just a kit lens. It's what, 3.5 to 5.8 aperture, and it's got an 18 to 50. So this one does win for the lens, for the quality look of the lens. Now, once I switch out lenses to something better like the 55 1.8, the 11mm 1.8, that's when everything equals out. I can say I can get the same image with the ZV-E10 that I can get with the GR3. I did compare this Sony. This is the RX0 Mark II. It has the 1-inch sensor, the same sensor that's in the RX100 series. So the photos in here are very good. When I pixel peep these two together, this guy did win in that regards. You can get away with this, no problem. But when you start looking at and you compare the image, you will favor the image over this one. It's a little buttery smoother than this guy here, which makes sense, sensor size, right? And this has a 4.0 aperture, this has 2.8, so there you go. So let me go over what I'm bringing on the cruise and what jobs I have for my cameras. So for water activities, so anything around the water, I bring the GoPro 11 for all video work, the RX0 Mark II, this one here, for all still work around the water. So in the water, around the water, taking pictures, getting wet, all that kind of stuff. This camera here goes with me there. Insta360 X3 comes along to give that overall shot look, that 360 around. It does get wet. I'm not going to pretty much use it under the water, but I will use it all around the water. It can get wet, etc., etc. That's my water activity stuff. Now let's switch down to the dry land. So for photo and video around the boat, I have always used the A7 IV camera, and that's the one I'm thinking about not bringing. So I'm going to kind of put that one on hold, but that would have been my main photographic camera. Now it's going to be the ZV-E10 with a couple different lenses, probably the 55 1.8, definitely this 11mm, and I will bring this guy for portability. So if I want to keep things small, I'll throw this guy on here and get video and maybe some stills with this one. So that's the plan now. I have other lenses I could bring, but I'm trying to minimize the package down, right? So the 55 is pretty small. I could bring the 85, but now we're just kind of splitting hairs. I can get a little bit closer with the 55 to cover that. So I'm thinking that's the lenses I will bring. The GR3 would be the other camera that I could bring, but I don't think it's going to happen. But that was the plan, to bring that one just for still images around the boat, walking and talking everywhere. The iPhone could be used for images. It's got a great camera, wide angle, macro, right? But we all know what the look of an iPhone photo looks like. DJI Action 2 also comes along. I use that mainly for a POV style of deal. I put the lanyard around my neck. I put the camera right here, walking around with a shirt on. No one really sees it. I can video going through different lines. I can take it off, get a video, something, put it back on. I could get a photo, put it back on. So that's a camera that I will also have around the boat and dry. It can get wet. I can take it in the pool too, so I can go back under the water activity section and add that to it. But it's kind of the universal, like, all-around camera. So at this point, I think with the cameras that I have and what I have set up, I think this is kind of getting into the right. It's $800 for what the ZV-E10 can do also. So it can do the same job. It's just a little bit bigger than this guy. But I think with this lens on it here, or even the 11mm, it's still pretty small, that I think it's worth not having this just to have it in my pocket versus the ZV-E10. If this had better everything, flip up screen, better focusing, all that kind of stuff, then it makes sense that I would keep for a larger sensor size photography tool to use when you don't want to bring much with you and have in your pocket. And it's still an argument for that right now for a lot of people, right? Have it in your pocket, always have it with you in your bag. It's always with you, right? Never leaves your side. Then you always have that camera right there available. The ZV-E10 is not going to always be there. I'm not going to always have that with me all the time. I have to, like, purposely bring this camera with me. And that's what it comes down to. So for me, I am going to probably return this camera back to B&H. But I think it's great for somebody else. But I think in my situation with the cameras that I have, it's not necessary and kind of overkill. Will I miss it? I don't know. Should I keep it for the cruise and just sell it later on eBay? So maybe lose $50 off the deal of it? I don't know. I'm still figuring that one out. What do you guys think? Return it, keep it, $800. Pretty good deal for that camera. Let me know in the comments down below what you think. But those are my thoughts. You guys take care and have a good one.